Hello and welcome back to a video on the Loyalty channel, and today we have a banger of a banger. Before we get into the video, please remember to like, subscribe and comment, or your club will face relegation next season. Do you want your club to be relegated? Yes, I'm talking to you. Literally you right there, I'm talking to you. Do you want your club to be relegated next season? No? Well, subscribe, like and comment, and thank you very much. Today, as you would have guessed by the title and maybe the thumbnail, I'm doing a tier list on Premier League clubs this season and how Premier League clubs have done. So, without any more nish-nash from me, let's jump straight into the video and let's start with Arsenal. It looks like Arsenal have lost out on the league again this season. So, they're not going to win the title. But, you know, they could come back. You know, it's still 1 point in it. I just can't see City dropping points, and I know it's always risky doing this video now. I just want to do it because I want to get my opinions out there on how teams are done, because I know teams are going to be there or thereabouts, and things can obviously change, but most of it will not change in my opinion. I know Arsenal, they've showed some great cameos this season, but we've also got to take into consideration it's been raining. So since it's been raining, I mean, that's why they haven't won the league clearly. Like Ty would tell you that. So with Arsenal, I can't put them in excellent unless they win the league, which I think is fair enough. You might agree with this, you might disagree. Sorry, Arsenal fans. But for me, good season. I think fair enough. Got to be in there. Good season. As I say, it's been raining, so we've got to give them that side of things as well. But Arsenal, there will be a strong title contenders in the future, and they are now, and they will get that Premier League one day. I do thoroughly believe that, Arsenal fans. I think City are just too good at this current moment in time. Swiftly moving on. Next, we'll go to good evening, Unai Emery's Aston Villa, and all I'm going to say is wow, good evening. Like, honestly, since Unai Emery has came to Aston Villa, he has been sensational. Like, he has been an absolute joke. Like, he took them from a shit Gerrard team, who would have been in the shit category. He's took them from shit, put them 7th, mind me French as well, by the way. He took them 7th, got them a Conference League. They're still in the Conference League, about to get themselves to, I think it's a semi-final if they beat Lille tomorrow, as I'm recording this video. And they're going to get in the Champions League spots. Unai Emery, absolutely fantastic. For me, it's got to be, there's only one outcome. It's an excellent season. Well done, Aston Villa. I would love to see us carry on next season. Obviously, my club, Newcastle, they struggled a bit this year. They have pulled it back massively, but it's nice to see the clubs that aren't in the traditional Big Six up there. And it's really, really nice. But moving on to the next one. It's Vincent Kompany's Burnley. The championship winners off last year. And I can't lie to you, lads. I am really disappointed. I had high hopes for this team. And I know they were a young squad and they've been playing really good football in the championship. And Vincent Kompany didn't want to change his philosophy. Fair enough, I rate that, respect that. Maybe they need another year down the championship. A few more players in, get more bit of experience, to come out in the Premier League and actually play ball. I tipped them to stay up massively. But instead, they sit 19th, bound to go down, down, down. And for me, Burnley, it's just been harsh, but it's waste of the waste for me. Like, I know it's always hard for a championship team, but they were the championship winners. I think everyone had high expectations for Burnley, which was fair enough. I don't know what I'm doing with my hands, which is fair enough, but they're not going to stay up, lads, and unfortunately, waste of the waste for Burnley. Next, an interesting one. I know people will have this team in a lot of different categories. It's Bournemouth. So they appointed Andriola. I think that's how you pronounce it. He looks like a great manager, but they had an awful start. They did not win a game in 9 games in the Premier League. But they've came on strong and they played excellent football. I mean, congratulations, Bournemouth. An excellent year last year. It looks like it's going to be an excellent year this year. But for me, I have to put you in decent season, you know. I can't say well in Bournemouth, and I can't say meh. It's just a decent season for Bournemouth. And who knows, you know, they've got a nice backing behind them now, great manager. They might be able to push on and get themselves into that well-in category next year, or good season, who knows. But a decent season for Bournemouth. I don't need to say much more than them, really. Next, we go to Brentford. I don't know, Brentford fans, you've had a lot of injuries to deal with. You didn't have Tony till the end of January. I feel the frustration, because I've had it with Newcastle, where we've lost a lot of players. Like, we have lost the most players. But Brentford haven't showed the standard of the last 2 previous seasons for me. And for that, sorry, Brentford, and this is going to be controversial, because I know a lot of people are going to say meh, but I've got to put them down as a shit season. like the down there battling. I've had Bournemouth held quite high in my estimations for the Premier League prediction, and they just haven't lived up to it. And I know I appreciate you've had injuries. I do really like Bournemouth. So P.S. Bournemouth fans, I still love you. Please still love us back. It is nothing personal. I just think I held the style of Brentford's playing, the manager, and some of the quality players you've got. I just like have that level a little bit higher. Like, pardon me. You've got like Mbeumo, Ivan Toney. I just feel like, in my opinion, that you had to be doing a little bit better. And I know Mbeumo and Toney appreciate they got injured as well, but sorry. Basically, it's just a shit season for me, Brentford. But you'll be there next year. Brighton. Who sit 10th and gave me the worst away game of the season this year. Absolutely pumping me about 3-0 when I travelled about 8 hours to get down there on a nice sunny day. The only thing I enjoyed was the sun in the McDonald's on that day. But Brighton, they can still get themselves in a place of Europe next season. You know, they're sitting 10th. You know, I think they're only a few points off. I think they might have one game in hand. Do I think they'll get Europe? No. I think they've had the same problem that maybe Newcastle and other teams have struggled with, like having Europe and having the Premier League, trying to like be competitive in both aspects. And you know, we don't have the big squads. I know Brighton have got a few good like squad players and stuff, but I think they've just struggled a bit. And for Brighton, I think it's just a decent season. I don't think it's a well-in. I think they're going to well-in/good season if they get Europe. If Brentford finished. Why do I keep saying Brentford and Bournemouth? If Brighton finish like 10th, I think it's just decent for them, because you've got to still take into consideration it's still a back step from last season, because it'd be going from Europe to no Europe, and of course they're out the cups, out the Europa League as well. So I hope you can agree with this on that, Brighton fans. So yeah, next we go to Manchester City. I won't say much on Manchester City, to be honest with you. I know there's a lot of charges hanging over them, but I'm here to give them credit. They're about to get an incredible 4th league title in a row, I believe it'll be, and they're on to win the treble again. Only one place you can put them, really, isn't there? This excellent season, unless they don't win it, and then I can do that to either Liverpool or Arsenal. But I just don't see Man City dropping points. I know they've got to go to Spurs, Man City, but City, when it comes to the end of the season, City know how to win titles. So they turn it on like that, and I just can't see them getting beat again this year, to be honest with you. So yeah, excellent season for Man City. Next, point deduction FC. Despite the point deductions, Sean Dyche's men have been poor, and for me, Everton, you can't blame the point deduction. It's poor form. It's purely down to pure form why you're at the bottom. Of course, it's got something to do with point deduction. That's why you're at the relegation. I think you get you like, what if you had 4 points back, right? You would have a little gap. But really, really poor team Everton at the moment. They've just lost 6-0 to Chelsea as a few days ago, and they face relegation. And you know the point deductions are there because they've broken the rules. I know other clubs like Man City and Chelsea they've investigating, but that's because there's a lot of different charges. So I think instead of rushing at conclusions, you've got to evaluate that there's a lot of charges hanging over different like clubs, like Man City say, where there will be a long process to see what they've actually done, where Everton was just like something little, and that's why they've took the point deduction off them. For me, Everton, they join Burnley in the worst of the worst, in my opinion. Just not really a good season. I think they've been awful, to be honest with you. And I just don't think Sean Dyche is the right person to take that club forward. Because I know I see a lot of people blaming point deductions, but you can't blame point deductions for poor form. And I know if you're an Everton fan sitting by the room, like, well, we've got a point deduction, it's going to hang over the players, but it shouldn't matter to the players. Like, basically, the players have got to be thinking, do you want to have Championship wages next season, or do you want to have Premier League wages? Do you want to play in the Premier League next season, or do you want to play in the Championship next season? It just seems like some of them don't care. But that's enough said on them before I get Everton fans hammering us on Twitter. Next, I go to Nottingham Forest, a team that had signed the massive schlong Origi in the summer. They've been inconsistent. They've had they've been very inconsistent. You know, they've sacked Cooper, brought in Nuno with a couple of games, still been very inconsistent, losing games, and they also fear the relegation, face a fear of relegation. And and they've had point deductions like Everton as well. For me, for Forest, you've got to be fair here. You've got to join Everton in the worst of the worst. Just move that as well, make it a bit better. So yeah, I think you've got to join them. To be honest with you, we've got to be fair here. Mike. Next, we'll go to Fulham. I really like Fulham and Marco Silva, and I know they have had half inconsistent results at times. And they have had poor results, like they have lost some games, but they've also had some fantastic results, like when they beat Tottenham. Obviously, like 3-0. Rodrigo Muniz has come leaps and bounds since January. Since Emmanuel Broja came in, Rodrigo Muniz is one player of the month. He's been absolutely fantastic. Big striker as well. Will he be able to keep that up? I'm not sure. But they sit 12th. They're 8 points off Europe. And for me, for Fulham, it's a well-in season for them. They play good football at times. Like when I watch Newcastle play there, we have struggled at times because they have played fantastic. And when I watch Fulham, I do look at them sometimes and think they're actually not a bad team. They just need a few more players, and then I think they can push on up the league as well and make it a bit more competitive. Because I know they can spend a bit of money, Fulham, because we've seen them do it previously. So for me, it's a well in for Fulham. Like I'm quite happy with the tier list so far. Let us know what you think in the comments. But next, we'll move to of course, we're going to win the quad, lad. Well, they won the Mickey Mouse Cup, as Liverpool branded it to Man United fans last season after they beat Newcastle in the FA Cup final. They've been dumped out the FA Cup by Man United, and Palace might have ended their title hopes, and they've lost 3-0 Atlanta in the Europa League. So the farewell tour isn't going very well for Jurgen Klopp. But am I going to be nice to Jurgen Klopp on the tier list? Yes, I am. They've got to be in the same bracket of Arsenal, so I'll put them in there right now. Got to be in the same bracket, but Liverpool, they can still win the league. They can still win Europa League, because they only have to. They have to turn around a 3-0 deficit at Atlanta. I don't think they'll do it. They've done it before, but I just can't see them doing it. And the league title, they're a point off. Of course they can do it. It's Liverpool. Liverpool still know how to win that title because they've won that title before, and they've always been that close from winning titles in the past. So for me, they've had a very good season. They won the cup. They're in third, I believe, like level points with second, or they are second. And they've had a good season for finishing fifth last year. And Klopp, we've got to give. I don't like Klopp that much. I thought he used to be a really commandable guy. I really liked him, but he's just been a bit of a knob, in my opinion, over the last 2 years now. And give him his due, he's created a beautiful story at Liverpool. He's created some lovely moments for Liverpool. When I've watched and I've smiled, and I've been happy for Liverpool. I really have been, because they have done magnificent, and the changed football, like just like Pep Guardiola did. Jurgen Klopp managed to turn football around as well, and make football a lot better, a lot harder for teams. No, not get that wrong, but a lot better. And he's created some magnificent players like Alexander-Arnold, Andrew Robertson. Obviously, you've got Arnold from the academy. You got Robertson, was it like 5 million or something from Hull, maybe, or probably a little bit more. And like Sadio Mane from Southampton, made him world class. Salah from Roma, one of the best players ever to grace the Premier League. Firmino, silky, nice, lovely little player. And obviously they brought in the likes of Alisson. Van Dijk, bought him for 75 million. I remember when Van Dijk came, there was a lot of, is he worth that much? Became the best defender in the whole entire world. And he's done great things there. So Klopp, I know I had a little joke at the start. It is Klopp's farewell tour. It's going to be sad to see him leave. My conspiracy theory is that he ain't going to leave, but he probably is. But yeah, he created a beautiful story and a good season for Klopp in his last season. Next, we'll go to Luton Town. And all I can say is, well done. Your stadium's a shithole, and I love that it's a shithole, and they're in relegation. But I back them to stay up. I back you Luton fans to stay up. I think either Forest or Everton will go down. And if they do go down, for me, it's still been a well-in season for Luton, because they have came to the Premier League, the biggest underdogs probably ever in the Premier League. Probably one of the biggest underdogs since Huddersfield Town stayed up in the Premier League. And Luton Town have been absolutely fantastic. They've earned themselves some brilliant results, and they haven't sat back, played defensive, and got lucky. They've took the game to people, and that's what I absolutely love. And they were like, Rob Edwards has them like that. They are a proper team. And for Luton, I really hope they do stay in the Premier League. I would like to see Everton or something get relegated for Luton to stay in the league for another year, just because I really appreciate what they've done this year and they have played nice football. And as I say, the stadium's a shithole. But if they go down or if they stay up, the outcome will be what the outcome will be. But for me, relegated or staying up, it's a well-in season for Luton Town. Next up, we'll go to Crystal Palace. I mean, they faced their struggles, had Eze injured, Elise injured, Gui injured. They had troubles with Roy Hodgson getting poorly, unfortunately. They got a new manager in as well. So, for me, it's an easy choice for this one. It's just a mess season for Palace. They're down there, but they've had some great results on the way, and they've played some great games as well, like beating Liverpool the other day. It was fantastic. So, I mean, with the next manager next year, I think you can see them more competitive if they can keep a hold of Elise, keep a hold of Eze, keep a hold of Gui, and keep a hold of Joachim Andersen. I really, really, really do like Joachim Andersen. I think he's a fantastic centre-back, so I wouldn't be against Newcastle maybe trying to sign him. Obviously, you've got your Tyreek Mitchells as well, Munoz, who they've signed at right back, Dean Henderson in goal. They've kind of got the foundations there. I think a few, like another midfield player, a striker who can score goals. And I think you could see Palace elevate up the league a little bit and maybe have their first push for Europe as well. For me though, for Crystal Palace, it's just a mess season, to be honest with you. I think that's fair. Let us know in the comments how you think about this so far. Next up, we'll go to, you've got to die for 3 points, Sheffield United. Get in the bath, son. I'll be sick if I look at you. This was always going to be very, very hard for them. Unfortunately, the dramatic return of Chris Wilder just wasn't enough for them, unfortunately. They're going to go down. Obviously, I didn't expect them to stay up. It was near impossible for them to stay up. And in my predictions, I've probably put them to stay up because I always like to do it just in case I have that special story like they did a few years back when they came to the Premier League and they were playing with the wide centre-backs. But for me, it just wasn't enough. I didn't really expect them to stay up. But I'm going to be kind. I'm not going to put them in worst of the worst. But what I'm going to put them in is shit. So basically, 2 seconds there. I just need to. The reason I'm ranking them as shit is just because my mouse came out there as well. That's why I was bending down. I wasn't trying to show you my arse. I was just unplugged my mic. This is not PORN.HUB.com. But yeah, I'm not going to put them in worst of the worst, but I'm going to put them in shit because it is a shit season. To be honest with you, you got relegated and you haven't really brought any team to just sat back really. They have had some decent performances when they got beat by Newcastle 8-0. All seriously aside, when they got beat by City, I think it was literally the last minute. Had some good results, but for me, it's just a shit season. So I think, I'm happy with putting them in shit. I don't want to put them worst of the worst, but I'll put them in shit. I think the element you've got to take into this is what I expected from Burnley, what I expect from Nottingham and Forest. For Nottingham and Everton, I expect higher standards than obviously Sheffield United. But moving on to the next, it's the high line, mate. I'm loving Big Ange instead. It's Tottenham Hotspur. Very impressive at the start of the season. They've maybe been figured out a tiny bit. Of course, a week ago they got beat by Newcastle United. I haven't got Newcastle top on. I don't know why I've just kissed something that says Midas Hotel. Nice brand, by the way, if you want to go and buy it. I'm not sponsored by them as well, so I shouldn't even be promoting them, so don't buy it. They've been figured out a tiny bit, and the hype's probably died down a little bit of Ange. Compared to last season, it's an improvement. I wouldn't call it a good season, because I think if it's a good season, I think they would have to be in the likes of, they would have to be in the likes of Liverpool and Arsenal, which I wouldn't put them in the likes of Arsenal and Liverpool, because it's Tottenham Hotspur. A few years ago they win Champions League finals. So as I say, you've got to take all these little things into consideration, and that's why they are going to be sitting there for me. The next team we're going to be going on to is, drum roll please, it's Eric Fraudhog's Manchester United. Oh, I love this. He is the only person in football I hate. It's constant lies, throwing the blame elsewhere. I'm not a big fan of Eric Ten Hag. I don't hate people, so I take my statement back about hating him. I just dislike the way he goes on. He just likes to throw the blame elsewhere, And I think, in my opinion, Man United would be better without him. I'm not going to blame it all on him, because it's not all on him. You know, there's some personalities and some players in that dressing room that need to take a good look at themselves. But I just want to present this to you. Look at the likes of Jadon Sancho. He's now going to be playing in a UCL semi-final, and he's been Dortmund's best player. So Man United, you've just made the list. You've made the shit list. Oh, that's going to get clipped if they do better than Newcastle. But yeah, it hasn't been a good season overall for Man U. You think of Man U for past Alex Ferguson winning titles, winning Champions Leagues. Man United need to be in here every season. They've got to have an excellent season just for the name of who they are. But they're not, unfortunately. And, I mean, what else can I say, really? Next, we move on to, drum roll again, please, I'm Jordan, the Conference League winners, West Ham. I think this is a bit of a controversial one that I'm going to give you. Interestingly, compared to last season, the league form has been absolutely superb for West Ham. Compared to last season, I'm not saying David Moyes had a good season. They're sitting 8th, you know. Do I think they get Europe? Probably not. They're still in Conference League, 2-0 down to Leverkusen. Probably going to get knocked out. I mean, if there are a few points, like, they just survived relegation last year, so you've got to say it was a decent season for them this year, regardless of winning anything or not. But I think you've got to take into consideration, I think it's like the last 3 or 4 seasons they played in European competition. So obviously, if you're a West Ham fan and you've got these players like Paqueta, Bowen, Kudus, Alvarez, you've got to be wanting yourself in Europe again. And for me, they've had a decent year. They're no better, they're no worse. So I wouldn't put them in Meh, I wouldn't put them in well in, I'd put them in decent, and that's if they get Europe, because I just feel like West Ham, they're just staying at a level now, and they're not going up the level, or they're not going down the level in the league. Obviously, they won a cup last year, brilliant, well done, it was a Conference League, it's what it is, but I wouldn't, their league is like, they've hit the ceiling, and I can't see West Ham going without getting rid of David Moyes, bringing a better, younger, more progressive manager to have the players of Paqueta, Bowen, Kudus, and see what he can actually do with them. It's like when they signed Scamacca last year and they've sold him already. I thought they could definitely get a tune out of him. He's a fantastic striker. I use him on FM. He's brilliant. Ask me boy Daniel Duncan. He's unbelievable. So yeah, decent year for West Ham. Next, we've got 3 more teams now. We're going to Wolverhampton. It was all doom and gloom, let's be honest. When Gary O'Neill took over, it was all doom and gloom. But what an excellent job he's done, considering all the shit Bars gave them. They've actually lost, fun fact, 10 points due to VAR this season, which is an absolute joke for Wolves. I place well. I'm going to put Wolves well in here. I'm going to place them well in. Definitely well in for Wolves, because, you know, everyone had Wolves as relegation favourites. I think in my predictions I put Wolves 17th, and they're doing brilliant. I think they're in 12th or something. It's a fantastic season for them. I know the first 2 seasons in the Premier League when they got promoted, they had European football twice, and they had some great years. But you've got to take into consideration they've lost some of the best players last year. They lost Ruben Neves and Nunez, 2 massive midfielders who were integral to Wolves last year, and they've lost them, and they've managed to look a little bit better. So I say fair play to Wolverhampton, and it's a well in for you. So I think maybe that could be me being a bit harsh, putting them above Brighton and West Ham. But I think, as again, I'm looking at standards, and I think the way you look at it as well, taking little things into consideration. Everyone had them relegation favourites. Gary O'Neill taking over. Everyone wasn't confident, and he's elevated them, brought them to a level. Decent Premier League team. They look like they'll be there for a while. Next, we're going to Chelsea. Started slow, but now they're looking the part. And Cole Palmer is the shining light. 20 league goals and about 7 or 8 assists. Absolutely fantastic for a man that left Manchester City for 45 million, looking for game time. And he's the star boy at Chelsea. He is the main man at Chelsea. You think of Chelsea right now, you say Cole Palmer straight away. It's not like when you used to say Reece James or like Drogba. It's just saying Cole Palmer, which is massive for the lad. It's just a credit for how good he's been. He's a credit to himself. He's a fantastic football player. He's got the arrogance about him. I really like them. For Chelsea, I'm going to rank them as decent. They can still get into Europe. They can still get an FA Cup final, and they've already lost the final. So I can't put them in well in. As I say, it is Chelsea Football Club. They've got to be in the Champions League realistically, or they've got to be there or thereabouts competing at the top. So it's got to be a decent season. But the foundations have been laid and they're cooking. So I'm quite happy with this. And the last team, we're going to go to my team, Newcastle United. A few weeks ago, I'd have put Newcastle in shit or meh, because they make me feel like shit at times this season. Last season was magical, it was something special. I think looking back you can tell that. But at the moment, we're sitting 6th. And we've had the biggest and the longest injury crisis the Premier League has ever seen. And we managed to be 6th. We also got robbed out of the Champions League against PSG as well, so we could be sitting in a quarter-final right now. Nah, I'm not into that. We did get robbed. Unfortunately, I believe we should have got to the round of 16 of the Champions League or been in the Europa League, but unfortunately we're not. We're sitting here. It is what it is. It's life. And what's meant to be is meant to be. But for what we've went through this year, and if we stay and actually get Europe, it's been a remarkable job from Eddie Howe and Jace. And it'll be, for me, and I know this could be a little bit biased, it'd be a good season. Because you've got to take into consideration we've had the biggest and the longest injury crisis. We signed a player for about 60 odd million in Tonali. Played about 3 Premier League games because he got suspended. We've lost all our best players, like Joe Linton lost him to injury, while lost Callum Wilson for most of the season. Isak's been gone for bits and bobs. Barnes was gone for months. Botman's gone for months. Trippier's been gone for a couple of months. Tino was gone for a bit. Nick Pope's been injured pretty much the whole season. So it's it's been a tough season for us, but we've managed to kind of scrape it back, and that is my list for Premier League season this year. I have got some videos coming up on football again. I think we might do a video on Cole Palmer, having a little deep dive into his stats and see where I think his ceiling is, and if he'll go to the Euros. I'm going to be doing some videos on the Euros. I also got some big videos coming up on my channel going to different countries, one being Greece, one being Dominican Republic, so stay tuned for that. And as I say, a lot of football content. But guys, thank you so much, my wonderful people, for watching this video. Please like, subscribe and comment if you enjoyed. I'm always open to criticism, so come fucking grill us, especially if you're an Everton fan. And my famous words, I'll see you in the next one.